Welcome to Tommy Surfs. Got another surfboard review for you from our favorite long-haired king of style, Rob Machado, and that is the Firewire 2-fish. The 2-fish, if you don't already know this, is an evolution of the old and original Go Fish. Now, I believe the 2-fish is actually a play on words. It is the second version of basically a similar board, as well as the way they spell it, T-O-O fish. It's like too fishy. It's actually fishier than the Go Fish. Now, to illustrate my point, I made a chart, and off to the left column you'll see the liters, and then by size I just plotted them where the liters fall. And if you compare, say, the 5.3 Go Fish to the 5.3 2-fish, the 5.3 2-fish is a little bit over a liter more than the 5.3 Go Fish. So that's what I meant by it's fishier. Now you guys can comment below whether you can tell a difference between Rob surfing the 2-fish and the Go Fish. Tell me which one you think actually has more performance, which one actually looks like it's groveling better. Now I've owned the 5.3 Go Fish, and I just demoed the 5.2 2-fish. And the 5.2 2-fish does, under my arm, feel a little thicker and bulkier. I mean, it's not a huge difference, but it's enough to where I felt a difference in terms of through flat sections as well as mushy waves. This board maintained its speed a little bit better than what I remember the Go Fish doing. Now with that extra bit of pudginess, the 2-fish is a little bit tighter. Two other differences that you should be aware of is, one, the board is now in helium and not LFT, so there's that extra buoyancy there, as well as the bottom contours are different. Now, if you recall, the old Go Fish had this board rail system or concave system, and the 2-fish got rid of that, and it just basically has a very pronounced deep single concave, and also where the rails kind of fall off, but that's only right around the fins. Now, something to consider regarding the speed that this board has is the low entry rocker as well as the low exit rocker. And if you think about the deep concaves, more or less you're getting rid of the rocker through the center of the board. You're creating a straighter line for water to travel, right? And so that adds to speed, less drag, less push, as well as creating the lift that you need. So all those things combined makes this a very fast board, especially in the flats, and that's what I found. Now in some of these waves I'm going to show you beginning to end, and the reason is because there is a massive flat section, and I just want you to see how well this board does through those sections. Now as it plays out, I'm going to go over who I think this board is best for, as well as whether you should get it or not. I can't remember where I read this, but I recall seeing somewhere where it said that this board is made for intermediate and advanced. Now generally speaking, when you're talking about performance, putting the board on rail, that would be true. Now this board can also be pretty good for a beginner if you oversize it. Because it's flat, it's going to get into waves really easy. The difference though is it might have a very short life for you because you're going to want to oversize it at that stage of your progression. And what will happen is you're going to start wanting to turn boards, and because it's a twin fin, and if you're riding it proper, you're going to have a keel fin, it's going to be a little tight, and especially if it's bigger, it's going to be tighter. It'll be harder for you to learn those turns. So there are better options for beginners at that beginner intermediate stage, which would probably be something like the Seaside. That is, remember, Rob's interpretation of a user-friendly version of the Go Fish, right? So basically he went from the Go Fish to the Seaside, and then now he's reintroducing a fish with Seaside elements back into the 2-fish. Now for the intermediate and advanced surfer, this is a great option. Rob has made it so that way you can ride this board smaller, because he put more liters into this version. Now, because of all the foam and thickness in the front of the board, you could still paddle it pretty easy. Because of the rocker and the concaves, you can get into waves pretty easy. And he's thinned out the tail so you can maintain performance, at least as much performance as it would allow. So now for the $1 million question, should you get this board? Now, if you were a fan of the Go Fish, absolutely, just get a refresh. And for those of you that don't know, I took a trip to Nicaragua and I left my Go Fish there for the camp guides because I've had it for a while and I knew I wanted a refresh. And although I wasn't 100% sure, after having tested this board, I am 100% sure I'm going to get a refresh. I'm buying the 2 fish for myself. Now, the one thing I do want to mention is that, you know, when this board gets going fast, you know, it gets a little tracky with the keel fins. So I'm going to make another video as a follow-up to this where I turned my 2 fish into an ASIN. Basically what that means is I surfed it with 2 different fins. Keel on my toe side and a pivot fin on my heel side. And I was rather impressed. So I got to do a separate video on that. At any rate, I want to thank you guys for, you know, having been so patient. I know it has been almost 6 months, I think, since I put out my last video. I sent my solo shot in for upgrade, but after 3 months of waiting, they were just not very responsive, and I didn't know how long it was going to take. So now it's been 6 months, I haven't gotten that solo shot back. So 3 months ago, I decided I'm just going to buy a new one. I'm still waiting on my upgraded version, so I'll have 2 solo shots, one for backup, I guess. And that's what's been, you know, holding me up. As well as I kind of wanted to put more relevant boards out. I do have the Revo and the Hydra Short that I'm going to review, but they are not current, so not as relevant as something like the Great White or the 2 Fish or the Alban Twimsinen, which I got my hands on. So there's a great list of boards that's I'm going to review for this spring and summer. So stay tuned. Please like and subscribe, and if you want to support the channel, there's a thanks button, as well as let these videos play out. I probably should have said that in the beginning of the video. Anyways, really appreciate you guys. Until the next one.